So the people that appear impressive are desperate for attention. The people that shout the loudest are calling for help. The people that make the big show need it. And only people, I think, with authentic self-esteem can afford to be modest. We are creations of habit. So I'm a habit master. My whole life is how do you master your habits, because losing and winning are habit forming. And 90% of what you do every day is reflexive. Olympians don't try to win, they remember. So an Olympian does not say, I've got to bear down. I've just got to win. Olympian has learned how to win, has gone through the motions, has gone through the training, and all they need to do is at that moment when the pressure's on, remember. Reflex. So the mindset of a champion is internalizing the kinds of habits that will get you where you want to go rather than getting in your own way. And I think I learned that more from astronauts going somewhere dangerous no one's gone before, Olympians going somewhere in the moment where they haven't gone before, and a prisoner of war unable to go anywhere but having to go there only in your mind. So I really believe in feed forward and feedback. Imagination serves the goal. Memory serves the reinforcement of success. Memory brings what you've learned to the present, back to the present, and the imagination brings the future to the present. And the mind is unable to distinguish between something that is vividly imagined and that which is really happening. So memory serves the person who wants to reinforce the good life and the life that they want to lead and the life that they may have experienced in some way. So memory is tremendous when things are getting rough. Imagination serves the entrepreneur because the imagination takes you into the future like a pilot in a movie, but you can't distinguish whether it's really happening or not. It is so real and so vivid and so emotional that you're actually living the future in the present, and memory enables you to live the past in the present. Tremendous capability of the mind to do that. It's a skill like anything else. We all have it, just a question of whether we're using it. Most people use it as premonition. They use it as worry. They think of things that could happen, might happen, they hope won't happen. They look through the rearview mirror where they're coming from instead of through the windshield to where they're going. And imagination rules the world, there's no question about it. I mean, everything that is not natural is the product of a human mind. Everything that we touch that is not made of the natural world was invented by a mind. Some human being that said, wow, why not? So I love to study the people who solve problems by using their imagination. Did you know that the outboard motor was invented by a Ole Evinrude? Ole Evinrude was rowing his boat across the lake in Wisconsin, but the ice cream cone melted that he was bringing his girlfriend. So he couldn't row fast enough, so he invented a motor to put on a boat so he could get the ice cream faster to his girlfriend. That's the use of the imagination. Now we all have outboard motors on our little boats, but it was because of this one guy that said, I just have to do something. And I look at all the inventions, and they were almost all to solve a problem, not to make money. And therein may lie the whole secret of getting rich. Getting rich is a byproduct of being passionate about filling a need or solving a problem. And you got rich not because you planned on it, but because you were so passionate about filling that need that more people wanted it. And if you'll interview Bill Gates, or if you'll interview any of the great entrepreneurs, they'll tell you they never intended to be the richest person. They just intended to do this incredibly interesting, exciting, passionate thing to solve some kind of problem that they felt they had. And that's what I love about being an entrepreneur. But if you want to make money and that's all you think about, you may make some money. You'll be money slave, and money will be the thing that becomes so important to you. It becomes your scoreboard for success. And I think money is just fuel. Money is only gas for the tank. If you can save people time and money, you'll have all the time and the money you need, because people are overstressed. They're under stress, but overstressed. So if you can save them time, which you can't really save, you can only spend it, but you can spend it wisely. And that's what we try to do with applications and technology. We try to save people a little more time, and we try to save them money on the routine things they do, and that makes people a fortune. Or we make life easier for them. The automatic dishwasher was invented by a woman whose maid would wash the dishes and break her china, so she came up with an automatic dishwasher that would not break her plates. But she didn't do it in order to make a fortune on dishwashers. And if you look at Just look at every invention. The telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, his sister was hard of hearing. So he was inventing a hearing device so his sister could hear him better, but it became the telephone. So it wasn't the intended idea to sit around with a group of people saying, how are we going to get rich? I mean, how are we going to get just incredibly filthy rich? And that way we can accomplish all our goals and travel everywhere in the world and have everything we want, because the Chinese are trying to do that. The Chinese have a mistaken idea of what success is. The Chinese believe that success is material wealth. They have lost for many, many years that philosophical soul that they had that's 5,000 years old. So instead of looking at all these incredible philosophies that they've had, they're looking at Bentley, Escada, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Mercedes. They're looking at the symbols of status that has become the Western way of keeping score. And one of the things that worries me is that if we're not careful, we become skin deep. And skin deep means that we wear our values externally. You can see them in what we drive, what we wear, in our movements, our actions, the people we run around with, the clothes we wear, the jewelry we have, the status that we have, and we're comparing ourselves externally while not really going inside. If I were to write another book, I would write Skin Deep, the great culture of materialism. But I don't want to be negative. So instead, I want to be part of the future. I don't want to be a critic. Most of the speakers I know thrive on approval. They really do. If you look at them, they thrive on the approval of others. What they do is they give a presentation and the audience comes to their feet and applauds them. And it feels so good to get a standing ovation for something that you did, a performance that you had. Because if you weren't getting it at home, if you weren't feeling it inside, you have to get some external reference point. So it might be making a fortune. Might make you feel good. Let's say you were an orphan and didn't have any money, so you made money and it made you feel important. I think that many times it starts out getting the approval of others, but fortunately for me, I passed that probably in my 30s. I gave up any idea of conceit. I don't feel that I'm better than anyone who's ever been born. I'm as good as the best, but no better than the rest. I look at a taxi driver as a transportation executive. I do not feel more important than any person I've ever met, so I'm not impressed. And I'm not impressed with people who try to impress. So the people that appear impressive are desperate for attention. The people that shout the loudest are calling for help. The people that make the big show need it because they actually need this approval. That's why the stretch limousine comes into play. The longer the stretch, the more they need to stretch the way they appear. And only people, I think, with authentic self-esteem can afford to be modest, and usually are. So the greatest people I've ever met are very humble, very modest, very engaging, don't talk a lot about themselves, don't talk about their books. And the ones that I see in my profession who are the most skin deep are ones that are talking about what I've done, where I've been, who I know, what I've accomplished. They get so self-involved. And the best thing is to take the value that you create and let it go. If you're that valuable, wouldn't you want to share it with everyone you meet? Why would you want to possess value? Why wouldn't you want to share it if you had so much? You don't have to prove your value, that all the value you'll ever get, you got when you were created. So that uncut gemstone, that diamond that is you, does not need to be cut and polished so much to make it more valuable. You're as valuable as anyone who's ever been born or whoever will be born. And that intrinsic value, you must hang on to that and believe in this dream, even if it's all you have to hang on to. So I believe that the true winner believes in that dream, even though they have nothing to prove so far. So I think performance reflects value, doesn't measure it. So you don't need to perform to feel valuable. You need to feel valuable to perform at your highest level. So first you internalize it and you say, given my parents and my background, I'm glad I'm me. I may not be the best looking in the group, I look my best in a group, and I have something to offer that is so unique and so different. And I'm going to develop myself to a life of being a role model, mentor, coach, example for everyone I meet. And I'm going to make everyone I meet say, I'm so glad I talked to you. You gave me so much, and you didn't ask for anything in return. You just gave. No quid pro quo here. No something for something. No, you give me this, I pay you. You're giving. I would say that would be the beginning. Then I would say that you should model yourself after people who truly have done, not just written about it, but have done what they say they've done. Not just a clever speaker, not just someone who's gifted with oratory, but someone who has had success by association. Someone who writes about what he believes in and is a prolific writer. When I say model yourself after people, make sure that it's not just those who are good salesmen. I've been telling speakers most of my career, did you know I have not ever once held up a book or audio of my own and talked about it? Not once, not ever, nor will I. There's a differentiation between someone who is a teacher and someone who's a salesman. Now it's a very fine line. Brian Tracy, one of the best. Zig Ziglar, one of the best. John Maxwell, one of the best. They have perfected the ability to not only write prolifically and speak prolifically, but they also sell prolifically. And there's been a trend over the last decades for a speaker to also be a dynamic salesperson, because there's been this feeling that unless you can sell your stuff from the back of the room, then how are you ever going to get anyone's attention, because we have such a internet overload and it's so difficult to get your stuff up through the noise. So you really do have to be an entrepreneur. You have to have something different and unique. But if you're a teacher, you got the real thing. You don't have to sell your stuff. If it's that good and in demand, the master of ceremonies does it. The vice president of marketing. To me, that's really good advice. And there's a way for you to do it. For you to be the best salesperson in the world without having to overtly give yourself a commercial. You don't have to be the one doing it. And it's a fine art, but I think you can develop that, and I think it will set you apart.